All right, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is the Pigskin Prognosis Week 6, 2024 football season podcast. I am Zach, as you know.
And I am Sully, as you all are hopefully well aware of now.
And yeah, we got a good bit of information today. We're going to spice it up a little and spin some things around like we normally do. We usually start off with some football scores. We're going to start off with some fantasy stuff. We'll talk about some game scoring stuff in the middle. And then we always end it with our unprofessional or uneducated. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. Betting advice. I say
I would say
uneducated.
professional works. Yeah, I would say professional works. Make it sound like we're not complete idiots.
Yeah. So sit back. We got a lot of information today. Talking about next week's scoring, some bye weeks coming up, just to give you all the fantasy insights that you need to hopefully, I like to say squeak out a win, because I've had some fantasy games that have been real close the last couple weeks. So hopefully we can get some points onto your side and potentially get you that win to make it a little bit closer in that claw for the playoffs. So, Sully, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Good, man. Hanging in there. You know, I lost my fucking fantasy week this week by 1.3 points. And that was because Deontay Johnson, I put him in over Garrett Wilson, thinking that he was going to have a shit week since they're traveling to London. Since I've kind of noticed, me and a buddy of mine back home kind of talk about this every so often too. The teams that tend to travel out to, London, Brazil, Germany, seem to fare less well fantasy-wise and just scoring-wise in general. So I kind of took that a little bit to heart this week. Benched Garrett Wilson in a few of my leagues. Man puts up 29 points. So, yeah, that hurts. And then Harrison Butker ended up missing a field goal last night, which would have got me the win. Instead, I ended up losing by 1.3 points in one league. I think out of 4 leagues I'm in, I went 1-3 this week. So,
Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of a kick in the nuts, but
yeah. I think the one biggest thing that I'm in like 5 different leagues this year. I really pay attention to one of them that's a dynasty league, since it's a keeper. The entire roster is a keeper. So I drafted pretty well. I was 4-0 going into this week, and granted, this is also for a lot of money. We put $100 and some down each year to play this. But it's a big payout at the end of the year too. I drafted 4 quarterbacks in the initial draft. This is the first year, by the way. I was about to say Saquon Barkley. I do have Saquon Barkley, but he's not my quarterback. I have Jalen Hurts, and he's on a bye last week. I don't have any other quarterbacks that were playing. I don't even have a secondary quarterback to put in my roster to play.
If you drafted 4 QBs, how the hell?
Well, I have. Let me pull up my roster for you, and you'll be like, not a good move, because I sat on it for 4 weeks, and now I'm kind of like, SOL. And thankfully, I'm 4-0 with only 1 quarterback, so it's not bad. But my quarterbacks are Jalen Hurts, Bryce Young,
Hey, benched.
Mitch Trubisky,
Nice.
and Cooper Rush.
Oh, all people who probably never going to see the ball.
Probably not. Now, Mitch Trubisky did play like 3 snaps a couple weeks ago. So in the looming bye week that I know Jalen Hurts was not going to score any points, I put Bryce Young in and just kind of prayed. He did bring home 1.96 points, but I still got my dick smashed in a mailbox by almost 100 points this week. So
nice.
it was not a very good fantasy week for me in that league. But and then my ESPN leagues, loss, and bye week, of course. So whatever. Yeah, so that's how my week went. Not very good. And then, of course, Jaden Daniels just completely destroyed my favorite team, the Browns, which I expected. I expected that. So if you listen to the podcast last week, I told you pick up Daniels, play Daniels against the Browns. I hope he did that. Now, he didn't score a touchdown himself. He didn't rush for a touchdown, but he did get a passing touchdown or 2, I believe. Yeah, he had a couple. So no, one touchdown. So. But yeah, we'll talk about him actually in a second. We like talking about Jaden Daniels. He's a he's a big talking point right now. So
Arizona State fucking prodigy right there. Ended up going to LSU after, but hey.
yeah, well, I mean, and it was tough to follow up the act of Joe Burrow after their national championship run in LSU, but he won the Heisman. So now it's looking like Chicago kind of missed out on that one, which is
okay. So that'll lead us into some stuff we'll talk about in the later half of the thing. So we'll keep those thoughts rolling. We'll take our thoughts on this on what we think about it here at the end.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so I'll get it started here, Sully. We'll talk about some fantasy scores. I know you put this together for us, but some of the top scores of this week was a disappointment for the team that had him because they ended up losing on two, crucial plays back to back in overtime. No, not overtime. Was it overtime?
Yeah, it went to overtime.
It did go to
38 overtime. 41,
so the Bengals, they have Jamar Chase. He had 41 points, 41.3. 193 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's good. That's insane.
Yeah.
When you have
for a dude that probably wasn't going to play,
right? When you have
out this year,
and that's right because he. I really can't stop thinking about that man, and I miss out on him every year. He's a good. When he hits, and when he doesn't hit, it's like he doesn't score anything. But this week he was a big hitter, 41.3 points. That's on ESPN scores, right? On
yep.
PPRs. Okay, so PPR League ESPN, 41.3 points. 10 receptions, 193 yards, 2 touchdowns. He only dropped the ball twice, so he went 10 for 12 targets. He looked really good. Kirk Cousins. He's the next guy on the list, but we'll talk about him in a second. Joe Burrow, the quarterback who was throwing the rock, looked like he had himself a really, really good game. And I felt really bad that they lost. And it really wasn't anybody's fault. The punter just got a bad snap. I really got to give credit to the kicker, Evan McPherson, for still kicking the ball. Because most kickers, when they see the holder mess up the handle on the ball, they'll stop. Evan McPherson was kicking that ball no matter what, and I got to give him credit. He really tried, and he was close. It was real close. It was a good game. But then you give Derrick Henry back that ball in the next play from scrimmage, and it's just he just
get those yards to get you that field goal.
He went off. He had another big breaking run, and this one would just help him seal the deal on the win. So, yeah.
Oh yeah. We'll go to Kirk Cousins. It was your second highest fantasy score this week. 34.35. Like Zach said a minute ago, these are all ESPN scoring. Your league may vary if you guys have adjustments, whatever. I know some people, I've heard of leagues where QBs get 100 points for if they tackle somebody, which is insane to me to think about. At that point, you kind of feel like you want your quarterback to throw a pick and be the last guy to tackle somebody. Excuse me. But he went 42-58, 509 yards.
It's like a college game over in London this week.
Like Jesus.
509 yards, insane.
Not the London game. It was a Thursday night game.
Oh, why did I think London? Oh, because I was thinking of Minnesota. I was still putting him back in Minnesota. That's right.
Yep. But 4 touchdowns, 1 interception. He threw a Falcons record for passing yards coming off of that Achilles tendon tear. There we go. Impressive. Looks a little bit more mobile in the pocket. Still not great. Obviously, he's 2 or 3 months more recently injured than Aaron Rodgers is. So that's something to sit there and think about. But again, he is looking like he's getting a little bit better, a little bit more comfortable with running, especially on that surgically repaired Achilles tendon. And then we got Joe Burrow. You mentioned him a minute ago.
Yeah, sorry, I was in the middle of a burp right there. I was trying to talk, and my mouth opened up, and then I was like, "Oh no, please close it."
No, you're good. I'll hit Joe Burrow if you want to hit Lamar Jackson in the last two.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Joe Burrow, 33.78 points, 30 for 39, which is a damn good completion to attempt ratio. 392 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interceptions. He rushed the ball 2 times for a whole whopping 1 yard. In their devastating overtime loss to the Ravens. But
yeah,
I mean, it looks like Joe Burrow's back. I know he had that hand injury over last year that set him back a good amount of time. It ended up hurting Jamar Chase's thing. When Burrow's in and Chase is there, I mean, if you got either of them, start both of them.
Yeah, and to kind of talk back at what I said, it was kind of like a shootout between the two teams. You just said it's good to see Joe Burrow back. I think he's been playing well, pretty well all year. The only downside is just the teams that they've been playing, and their defense isn't as best as it could be. And that's causing the other team to score more points, which then puts a lot of pressure back on the offense, which they could do it. I mean, they could put up 30 points a game. They've done it 2 or 3 times this year. It's just now they got to contend with, the Ravens that have had some devastating losses. Like they lost to KC at the very beginning of the year by Zay Flowers' pinky toe being out of bounds. Yeah. That should have been a game ender. Now they've got Derrick Henry back in his prime, so they're hungry. They're ready to win. And to be completely honest, the division just doesn't look that good of comparison. The Steelers lost to the Cowboys, which I wasn't expecting, but they made it close, but they still lost. The Browns are just begging for a win. Yeah, oh my god, dude. Yeah, the Browns are just begging for a win at this point. So if you have that on your bingo card, then okay, yeah, awesome. So the Bengals are just scratching for a win, and they're tied with the Browns. They're tied with the Browns at the bottom of the league, which I was not expecting. So seeing the Bengals just circle the drain is not what I was expecting to see from Joe Burrow this year. Because I know that he himself and the entire team can do so much better. And they have a legit chance at winning the division, or at least coming down to another shootout with the Ravens later this year, if I'm not mistaken. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they play out.
Yeah. So Lamar Jackson threw 348 yards in that game against Joe Burrow. He had a total of 33.42 points. So they were very close in score. Joe Burrow, 33.78 points. Lamar Jackson, 33.42 points. He went 26 for 42 for 348 yards and 4 touchdowns. 9 passing touchdowns in that one game is insane to me. It's insane. And when you look at it, you wouldn't expect that to happen between the Ravens and the Bengals. But that's just the new year of football. I would not expect that much from the Ravens, to be completely honest. They have a good receiving core, but you also have Derrick Henry.
I mean, you also have Lamar Jackson himself, who's known to just kind of tuck and pass.
Also very true. That's a very good point. And he did rush for 55 yards, but I just wasn't expecting him to throw the ball that much. And there was a lot of deep passes in that game. Like it looked like a legit college game, lots of passing yards, lots of scoring opportunities, and it was literally just punch for punch for a majority of that game, which is why it ended up going into overtime. A very big thriller of that game. So he only fumbled the ball once, which rarely happens in his history. I know he has pretty good ball control. So if you're looking at his stats and you're saying he's fumbled the ball, I wouldn't consider that to be a constant factor at all. So if he's available in your league, which he's probably not, but if he is, pick him up not. For sure. And then the last one of our top 5 highest scores this week, Drake London, 33.4 points, 12 receptions out of 13 targets, 154 yards and a touchdown. And one of those, that one touchdown obviously came from Kirk Cousins, who we talked about is also on this list. So all 5 of the top guys are either Kirk Co. and company or from the Bengals and Ravens game. So I mean, there's a trend. We had Derrick Henry, he was a Raven earlier last week. He was one of the top scorers. I think it was last week. So I just one of those recurring trends. You know, if you're looking for an offensive player to pick up, even if it's just like, hey, I need a wide receiver to fill in this week, look at those three teams. They're slinging it. They are slinging the ball.
And especially too, if you're looking at anybody that does DraftKings daily fantasy and stuff, where you're picking a new lineup each week. Those would be the guys to go for.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, that would be one of my big bet-ons. It's going to be a good game. The Ravens score a lot of points regularly. Atlanta, they're scoring a lot. I will say the Bengals, I think, were limited to like 10 points in one game, but other than that, they're scoring a lot as well. So that rounds out our top 5 highest scores, and of course, like I just said, they're either a Falcon, a Bengal, or a Raven. So, which brings us up to our lowest scorers. We have 4 for you, which
we will preface the first 2 are defenses. Which
yeah,
we will...
I was just about to say. Usually low scoring in fantasy comes from defenses, but surprising these 2 are. Well, I guess one of them not really so much, but the Panthers, a surprising low scoring defense this week at -5.
Wasn't surprising to me.
Well, I mean, yeah, all right, I'll give you that. Like you do kind of have that history with them, but going up against, they played Chicago this week, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
So just going up against the Chicago offense, I wasn't expecting that much damage against the defense for the Panthers. I knew they were going to score. Chuba Hubbard I think he just had 1 touchdown, but the Bears put up 36 points. They put up 27 in the first half, and it was a sling. It
hurt.
It was a slingshot for Caleb Williams over there.
It hurt me.
Moore, the old Panther, I'll rub that one in. Had 2 touchdowns against his old team, so I'm sure Panthers fans aren't very happy about that one.
Get fucking thrilled.
Caleb Williams threw for 304 yards, but all of that combines together, it tears apart the defenses, especially when the defense isn't making plays. Interceptions, sacks, things like that help the defense get up there. They didn't intercept the ball at all. They got 1 sack. So it's just fumbles. I don't think they had any fumble recoveries.
Nope.
They didn't have any fumble recoveries. So it was just not a good day for the defense, and when you're not hitting on all cylinders, having someone like that, like Caleb Williams, to just tear you apart.
Yeah.
So -5 points for that. And then the next team, the other defense on the list, which we just talked about, the Bengals, -4 points. Not surprising. If you play the Bengals defense against the Ravens, that's on you. You should know better. Don't do that. Don't put yourself in those situations. And, if you played them or if you just kept them to play for another game, fine. That's fine. Usually I keep a defense that I like to keep all year. Sometimes I'll drop one if it's not one that I like. If it's not one that I like to keep. But maybe next week when they play the Giants, might be.
Yeah, so some contributing factors to the Bengals thing. I know I forgot to put it on our notes, but they had 1 fumble recovery and 1 sack and a safety.
Okay. So
had they not had the safety to help bump up some points, they would probably finish the same with Carolina at that -5 mark.
Yeah. They did. Yeah, you said they picked up 2 fumbles, 3 sacks, but no interceptions for Lamar Jackson, which is huge. If you throw an interception, you really get a chance to score. And that just didn't happen. So they were firing on all cylinders. And Joe Burrow only threw an interception, so only 1 interception. But yeah, look forward to next week where the Bengals play the Giants. Now, granted, the Bengals are 1-4 moving into the Giants game, and the Giants just beat the Seahawks, so they're 2-3. Again, their second win. Their other win was against the Browns, so don't really count that one on. But maybe worthwhile to look at the Bengals' projected outcome for that game against the Giants for maybe a defensive game against them.
Yep, agreed. And then, all right, well, I'll talk about our next one since he's on my team. Old Deontay Johnson, the receiver we got from the Steelers over the offseason. 5.9 points. I was especially coming off of the last few weeks he's had where it's been steadily improvement, especially the week that Adam Thielen went out. And the man just had a fucking goose egg. Like, I mean, he obviously didn't score 0 points. He ended up 5.9, like I said. But, I mean, the man has 2 back-to-back weeks of over 26 or 20 points apiece. 2 weeks ago against the Raiders was 26.2. Last week was 21.3 against Cincy. To come out against Chicago and be targeted 6 times, 3 receptions for 23 yards is disappointing if you're a fantasy manager, especially when you're hoping, if you end up putting him in over Garrett Wilson, I know you're probably thinking, like, what the fuck are you thinking? Well, we talked about this in the beginning of the episode of, like, I had a decent thought process behind it, and clearly it ended up biting me in the ass. So, yeah tough day for Deontay Johnson owners, and I think I own him in all 4 of my leagues. And I think I started him in daily fantasy over the weekend. So, fucking sick.
It happens sometimes, though. I mean, like, you can never fully predict, right? Especially, like... Nope. You never know,
it's all luck from what I've been told.
Yeah,
it's all skill from what I've been told. My bad.
Well, fantasy football is. It's skill. We don't have it. We must be.
Yeah, I'm fucking just dumb apparently.
In the wrong spot. But yeah.
And then we had Deebo Samuel, 3 points. I know everyone's kind of expecting him to start being more of a prevalent factor in this offense, but I know he's battling some injuries, etc. But you expect a lot from that offense, and him being a key factor in it with 1 reception, that's just ridiculous for 11 yards and 3 targets, and then 3 carries for 9 yards. Nah, I mean, you hope to see more from him. I mean, I know he missed week 3. In New England, he still only put up 10 points. I mean, granted, he's coming off that injury for the New England game, so I get it. But it's still just it's painful to see when especially because he was probably drafted for a lot of people round 1 or round 2, possibly pushed around 3 depending on either size of your league or whatever. But just absolutely a shame for Deebo Samuel Jr. owners.
And I kind of chuckle at that game because I thought San Francisco was going to run away with it, but Arizona came back and they won. And it was that 2-point conversion, man. That was a gutsy call.
Hey, look at the way the Lions do with Dan Campbell, man.
Yeah.
Dan Balls of Steel Campbell, dude.
I love watching them play. That is so fun. I don't like Detroit in any other sport, and I really don't like them now because they're playing Cleveland in the postseason baseball. So, but I love watching their football team.
My buddy's a Tigers fan, so he's been rooting for him.
Oh boy. Well, they play tomorrow, so they're 1-1. My Guardians really, man, they put on a hell of a game. I know we're not a baseball.
I got a question for you. I've been meaning to ask you. It's still football related, so we'll keep it in the podcast for the episode. You watch college football? Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Who's your college football team?
I openly admit to being a Michigan fan.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right then.
I have a couple favorites. I grew up watching Florida, the Florida Gators back when Urban Meyer coached them there. With Tim Tebow, that kind of when they were the powerhouse back then.
Aaron Hernandez was there.
Aaron Hernandez, yeah, back in the 2000s. Oh yeah. But the other team that I kind of picked up on just because it had a funny name to me was TCU, the Horned Frogs. Because I was like,
liking college teams right now.
I was like, what the heck is a Horned Frog? So yeah, I got some TCU merch, but yeah, Michigan's my team. I dog on Ohio State. I grew up in Ohio, but everyone in my family is an Ohio State fan, but not me.
Shit.
Not me.
All
Michigan
right,
all the way.
All right. Back to our regularly scheduled NFL
sidetrack.
NFL football talk. I figured it'd be a little interesting to get people might want to hear.
Yeah, tell us your favorite football team, college, NFL, whatever.
Yeah,
down below.
Yeah. Leave in the comments. Yeah. All right, scores and game recaps. We'll hit on the betting stuff at the tail end of this, we kind of touched on a little bit of earlier. I mean, the number one note I have,
I see it. I see
the Commanders, Washington Commanders. Man, Jaden Daniels looks. The dude looks like he's been in the NFL for years now.
Yeah.
We kind of briefly mentioned it, but he went 14 for 25, 238 yards, one passing TD, ran 11 times for 82 yards. I mean, the team looks good, especially when you compare him, like we did earlier, to Caleb Williams in Chicago, who, in my opinion, has more weapons than Jaden Daniels does. And Daniels is winning games, and like I said earlier, looks like he can read the defense and make smart decisions with the football. Williams is getting there, but Daniels just looks like I said, he's been in the league for years now. It's crazy.
He looked really good. And I told y'all last week, he's playing the Browns. To pick him up and play him. He was in I think he was only picked up in 40% of leagues at that point. So if you didn't pick him up, go pick him up right freaking meow, because he is on a really long ride on a really short train of people that are going for the MVP this year.
Yep.
And
he's rostered 96.7 leagues as of right now.
That must have got what's the up percentage from last week, because that was not that high last week.
Oh, it was. Yeah, it's up 2.9%.
Okay,
so he's rostered in a good chunk. I'm willing to bet people just took him and stashed him to try to take the bet on the rookie.
Yeah. Well, pick him up if you're in the 4%ers. Pick him up. Yeah, man, fuck the Browns, dude. They're 1-4. Hey, they're tied with the Bengals, but they can't score as many points. The score looks way better when you look at the final of 34-13. I say way better, but they still lost by over 21 points. But they scored the only touchdown of the game they scored with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So
garbage time.
I mean, they were playing against, at that point, the Washington Commanders were like, hey, let's get the high school kids in and get some playing time. What do you think? And then Deshaun Watson's like, hey, I scored a touchdown. Good for me. Yeah, okay. Go sit down, man. Yeah.
I mean, do you want to touch on the note we have there toward the bottom of this scores and game recap about your old Browns there, since we're kind of already talking about it? About Deshaun Watson, being the largest guaranteed contract. And
yeah. Well, so when he came to Cleveland, I knew it was going to be trouble, because when you put that much money up on somebody that's riding high and you throw him into a team that has nowhere near the caliber of receiving core that Houston had when we brought him in, I knew it was going to be bad. I was also salty at that point because we had been through the quarterback carousel, they call it in Cleveland, and we got rid of Baker fucking Mayfield, and I miss that man. Baker, if you're listening, and I hope you are, I'm probably not, though. I miss you and I love you, and please come back to Cleveland. Damn
hey, if we get Baker Mayfield to fucking follow this, that'd be fucking cool.
That would be actually pretty sick. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, just some stats on Watson for the year. We're 5 games into the season. 852 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, and a quarterback rating of 22.4 for a pro QB that has the largest guaranteed contract. I just don't understand.
Now, wasn't it last year?
Needs to play.
Wasn't it? Not last year. Wasn't it last week that you told me he's actually ranked lower than some benched quarterbacks in some?
There's a couple, just because of the fact that when he came in, I think those QBs, the benched ones, came in for like a Josh Allen type thing with Mitch Trubisky, where Allen got hurt, Trubisky comes in for 2 or 3 plays, maybe throws a ball, whatever it may be. But yeah, he's one of the lowest ranking QBR ratings right now in the NFL, and that's the dude that's starting.
Yeah, and the Browns are just, I mean, they're on a downslope, man. They made a playoff run 2 years ago. They have Jameis Winston in their back pocket. They have
consistency with him is that you may never fully know what you're going to get with Winston, but he at least gives you the chance to win games, to keep you in games. And I mean, you may get a 400-yard fucking, just amazing Tom Brady back in his heyday game, or you may get a game where it looks like he's never played football before. So, but I mean, at least if you put Winston in, you kind of expect like, hey, there's going to be some ups and downs here.
Exactly. I'm glad you said that. The expectation, because with Jameis Winston, the expectation is, hey, he's either good or he's bad. With Deshaun Watson, the expectation when he came to Cleveland was he is good, and there's nothing about it.
He's
nothing,
good. He's it, and hence we're going to pay you accordingly.
Right. And it's just it has not lived up to the hype. And they keep restructuring his contract, which is pissing me off because they're all backloading his contract. So all of his money is going to come in the last years of his contract, which really makes it difficult because then you're going to be faced with a situation where you're going to try to trade him and no team is going to want him because of that high profit that they're going to have to pay, that he's just not living up to that value on the field. It's just not working for him. And they just need to cut him. They're already guaranteed to pay the money, so cut him. Move on.
I think there's hope now for some of those legal pending transactions, but we won't touch on any of those, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think Jameis Winston is a permanent solution to it, but it's better than our current situation.
I mean, he can't have worse than a fucking 20. I mean, he could a 22.4 QBR in 5 games.
I mean, you're absolutely right. He could, but
it's not likely.
No, it's. I'm trying to find his QBRs over the last couple of years because he was at the Saints the last 4 years. And granted, he didn't do very much, but that's because he was behind Derek Carr. But I mean, he got some playing time. That's when he was there with Andy Dalton, Derek Carr. So he has some decent coaching and experience and some mentorship from really good quarterbacks. Derek Carr is slinging the ball. Granted, he's hurt right now. He just got hurt last night. And then you got Andy Dalton, who just took the starting job away from Bryce Young. And I heard that, the Carolina Panthers were like, well, we're going to bench Bryce Young to kind of teach him a lesson, to kind of punish him. But then Andy Dalton is like, well, F it, dude. I'm just going to show up and I'm going to start slinging this shit. And now it's like, well, how can you fit Bryce Young back in there if you know he's not doing too well? And Andy Dalton, granted, it's not winning every game, but he's doing a hell of a lot better than how Bryce Young would have done. It's just that experience.
I mean, if we're gonna go ahead and sit there and talk on the Panthers, hey, I'm all for it, just because of the fact that hey, this is a team I've been watching for a long fucking time now.
Yeah, and
been with the ups, been with the downs, but yeah, 100%. You have like you said, with Winston was, you had the mentorship, you had some veteran QBs that can sit there and teach you and help mold you and make you a better quarterback. That's the whole point of being benched behind a lot of these guys, which is, at least what I think they were trying to do with Carolina with Bryce Young and Andy Dalton at this point. And then, Dalton goes out game 1 and balls out, wins the game for us.
Yeah.
So, and then, like you said, it's hard to go back to, okay, all right, cool, let's put Bryce Young back in that spot. Let him do it. It turned into an experiment of, okay, is the issue the rest of the team or is it the issue Bryce Young?
Yeah. Yeah,
you come in with the same issues, same people, same. I mean, now our team's pretty much Swiss cheese. We got so many damn defensive injuries. We just lost our center for the season with a torn bicep. I mean, we're falling apart here. But yeah, at the time, everybody was pretty much healthy. You come through. My way of looking at it, don't get me wrong, I'm not a professional quarterback. Never been a quarterback in any football league ever, other than just like pick up games in like a backyard type shit. If you have to jump and hop before you throw the ball to make it over your lineman. Yeah, you're not really going to put in unless you just have a hell of an arm strength. You're not going to be. I mean, granted, he was able to do it in Alabama, but this is professional.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Panthers got their own thing, and there's a section on our scores and recaps about it. But I just figured since we were talking about the Browns, we'd just segue right into your section and see what your thoughts were.
Yeah. Just they're making me sad as usual, per usual. But,
yep. And then you can sit there and wonder when is the change going to happen? Is the change going to happen?
And we've been through it so much that it's just kind of like it's just old news, man. Like when they change quarterbacks, we're like, yeah, we've been down this road before. We had some solid consistency in Baker Mayfield. I mean, granted, we have Deshaun Watson, but I say consistent because we haven't gotten rid of him yet. That's kind of because we're stuck in that toxic relationship of a damn contract. So. Who knows, man?
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see Deshaun, or maybe we'll see Jameis Winston play. Maybe we'll see DTR play. Dorian Thompson Robinson. That guy is his second year, I believe his second year, if it's not his third year. He showed out. Now, granted, he played and he went. He started last year, and when Watson hurt his shoulder, I think he went 1-2 or 1-3 as a starter, but as a rookie. So yeah, so then this year must be his first year because Flacco came in and took over for him. But yeah, I mean he's a young quarterback. He's not like a top draft stock quarterback, but he can do what he needs to do on the field. So maybe we'll see him play sometime this year. Maybe in place of Winston. Who knows?
Season's still young. We're just about a little under a third of the way there. This week will be a third of the way there.
Yeah, just about. Well, no.
18 games.
Yeah.
Once we finish this season, once we finish
once we finish this week. This week going into week 6 is the 1/3 mark. So yeah.
Speaking of quarterbacks, I mean, this kind of seems to be the talking point for a lot of teams. We'll talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Quote unquote America's team. Yada yada yada. My dad is a Dallas Cowboys fan. Love my father to death. Don't get me wrong. He gives me shit every week for it, especially when his team's winning and my team's getting the shit kicked out of him. But nonetheless, it pains me to watch because I feel like that team, like defensively, should have potential, and their defense is kind of just shitting the bed. It wasn't what it was last year.
No, it wasn't. And they're, I mean, I don't want to take too much away from them, but I also don't like the Cowboys, so I don't want to give them too much credit. They are down some really big stars on the defensive side of the ball, so I can't take too much away from them and just say like, "Oh, you all suck." But
I mean, then
I
you
agree
also
with what they have right now. They should be better.
And then you have Dak, going 29 for 30 or 42 for granted 352 yards is not a little amount of yards at all with 2 touchdowns, and then he throws 2 picks. One for sure was trying to go to CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
I don't remember the second one to be off the top of my head, to be honest with you. And CeeDee Lamb looked visibly pissed off at Dak Prescott, was mouthing some stuff to him. I didn't read what it was. The week before, the same shit happened with him. Lamb was sitting there telling Dak, "Give me the fucking ball." Last week, and then you have this week, they're sitting there mouthing stuff to him after he throws the pick. I get it. You want to get the ball to your star player, your best player, especially when it's, Sam or CeeDee Lamb, who just got a contract extension. I get it, but you have to be smarter with the football.
Yeah.
Like he underthrew that ball, at least what it looked, and there was the defender just jumped the right. He was where the receiver should have been. And I mean, you can't sit there and not win the turnover battle and still expect to win football games. Granted, they beat the Steelers just some reason, in prime time on a Sunday night game. Dak Prescott just, they shit the whole 3 quarters away, and then the last 6 minutes of the game, they decide, all right, cool, we're going to go ahead and clutch up here and pull out the win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that was all the way down to the 26-second mark in the 4th before they had to make that play. And the play right before it, they fumbled the ball at the 4-yard line. So, I mean, they almost ended up not getting anything out of that drive and ended up losing the game. So it was close. The Steelers could have scored more points in that game. I agree with you, but they also really showed some grit, keeping Dallas to limiting their offensive control in their half of their half of the field. Yeah, I agree with you.
No, it was interesting. That, like, every week, you start, getting into football season. There's been years before that it's like, okay, cool. You can kind of start seeing, the cream of the crop rise to the top type deal of, like, who the good teams are, who the best teams are. We're week 5 of the season, and I don't feel like I know anything.
Yeah,
like, I'm still unsure of, like, who the top teams are. Yeah, Kansas City Chiefs are 5-0, but I mean, there was.
But so are the Vikings.
Yep, with which was probably going to be their backup quarterback.
Exactly. Like, what is going on right now?
And then you have, the Bengals who did shit, and then all of a sudden, they give the fucking Ravens a run for their money this week. Buffalo last week looked how Buffalo looked last week, and then they come in with a nail biter against Houston this week. Like, I don't get it. Jacksonville, who's looked like shit, scores 37 points. I'm looking at this because I'm seeing all the scores right in front of me right now. But, and then Denver, 34 points against Vegas. I mean, it seems like Denver's got it figured out now.
The Cardinals beat the 49ers by a point.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's just...
You're right. I'm very glad you brought that up. This is an insane year of football. We were talking, I think I said it maybe 2 weeks ago. If I didn't say it then, I think I said it last week. I think I said we were getting into the point of the year where you're starting to solidify the good teams, the bad teams, the top scoring players, the okay players, the stay away from me players. And then this week just spins it completely around. And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Who's scoring what? Like,
yep.
Yeah, I mean,
injuries. I feel have a big contributing factor. That I feel like this year has been a lot more injuries than there has been in this amount of time previously, and it seems to be a lot of bigger injuries. People, ACL injuries or meniscus shit, MCLs, Achilles. Just a lot of big long-term injuries that pull you out for either the season or for 6 to 8 months, which is damn near the season anyway. But shit like that. But yeah, speaking of injuries, I guess that'll be my segue into the Carolina games. I guess, dude, I had a lot of optimism after week 3, and I feel like I may have fucked the pooch and got a little put the cart before the horse here on that one. But especially after Dalton, like we talked about earlier, goes out and balls out in his first start, that this season. The team, I don't know if you ended up watching any of the Bears, Panther game from this weekend.
I caught some highlights of it.
I watched all but like the last 2 minutes. I couldn't take it anymore, which is weird because I usually watch every game all the way through, regardless of how badly they're getting their ass waxed. And believe me, lately it's been a lot. But you go through and you watch, a good portion of the game. Chuba Hubbard had 13 carries for 97 yards and a touchdown. The man touched the ball 3 or 4 times in the second half. The second half, the man touches the ball 3 times. Granted, I understand in the second half you were kind of down big. I get it. But, you don't run the ball. You can't set up play action. You can't try to work on getting those deep balls down the field.
Yeah.
And those big plays. So I don't understand how you're going to sit there and expect, oh, shit, if we can't do play action, at least try to trick the defense a little bit to try to get our star player open, Xavier Leggett, Deontay Johnson open, then, okay, cool, I know you're going to pass the ball. Cool, we'll kind of just drop back a little bit, play some zone, maybe a little bit of man if we think our corners can beat you, and you'll never be able to fucking move the ball, which kind of seemed what it looked like. The Bears ended up pressuring Andy Dalton on 20 of his 41 dropbacks. He ended up going 8 for 12 for 73 yards. Interception and 3 sacks when he actually was pressured. I think that was one of the Bears' highest statistical rushing percentage.
Okay.
Since ESPN started tracking that back in 2007, 2009. Wow. Yeah, I saw that statistic unfortunately yesterday, and I was like, I meant to write it down in our notes section and forgot, but it was one of those things that I wasn't going to sit there and forget. Yeah, it's painful to watch. Then, dude, they're just riddled with injuries. Our tight end's out with a concussion. Our backup, which I want to say he's our second or third string tight end now, couldn't catch a cold in a room full of COVID. So, I hate to say it, dude. I know he's probably a young tight end. I get it. But still, man, you're in the NFL. Whether you're second string, third string, with the gloves that they wear, you should be able to look at the ball and catch it. Again, my opinion. Feel free to hate on it, whoever, as much as you want to. Then Janavian Clowney ends up going down with a shoulder injury.
That's a big loss.
What is already a beat up defense. We're without Derek Brown, who we're out. We lost him for the season. Clowney is day to day. Last I saw, that was early yesterday.
Hopefully, it's just limited practice this week and
Shaq Thomas. Shaq Thompson's hurt too. Our out of 11 starters on defense from the beginning of the year. Going into this game, we had 4 starters that were designated to play that weren't hurt. And then we lose Clowney. We lost our center as well. He's out for the season with a torn bicep. So it's going to be a rough rest of the year for the Carolina Panthers. But I'm hoping, and we have a gauntlet of fucking teams coming up next, dude. I am not thrilled about it whatsoever. Oh, you laugh, but hold on, give me 2 seconds. Let me pull it up real quick. I'll get you the exact
I
fucking
see
list,
it.
dude.
I see it. You could probably say the next 4 teams if the Saints hopefully get Derek Carr back by that point. That's not
I mean,
until
yeah.
week
So
10.
yeah, so next we get. Oh fuck! I'm looking at the wrong team. Hold on. This was this week's.
I mean, really, if you look at the schedule, you got maybe 3 more easy teams, and I say easy, but that's the Giants, the Cowboys maybe, and the Cardinals maybe on a bad week. But I mean, I don't want to steal your thunder. You can talk about the schedule, but it looks
Dude,
it looks
not looking
intense.
thrilled. The Falcons next, which is who we get Sunday in the afternoon game. Fucking fantastic. Great. That's going to be great, especially with the Falcons look. Commanders the week after, and as we've talked about, Jaden Daniels, dude, like, not looking good. The Broncos, week 8 in Denver. Denver's defense is just going to fucking just shut us down. Patrick Surtain is fucking phenomenal, so he's going to shut Deontay Johnson down. So, I mean, unless we can run, which, I mean, it looks like they're defensively have gotten that figured out. Then the Saints, and then we play the Giants. So that's probably a game we'll probably still end up fucking losing in Germany. And then it becomes the gauntlet from hell: Chiefs, Bucks, Eagles, Cowboys. Just fucking 4 weeks of just getting smacked. God,
Follow that up with another trip to Bucks and then another trip to Atlanta to round out the regular season.
Yep. And yeah, before that, right before Christmas, we get to play the Cardinals, which, like you mentioned, dude, could be a crapshoot if it's the same team that showed up and played against San Francisco this weekend. I mean, San Fran's better than us offensively, even without a Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed. I think I did an over-under league, which you're a part of too, as you know, and I'm pretty sure I put the over of either 4.5 or 5.5 with Carolina. The beginning of the season, I said Carolina should. I was hoping for at least 10 wins on the season. My wife laughed at me, clearly now for good reasons, because I was like, oh, if we can start off the fucking year with, 3-1, 4-0, maybe we can kind of go from there. The Bengals game was kind of the game I was expecting to kind of start shifting a little bit, and obviously with the Bears, I was expecting that to either kind of be a shootout, especially because DJ Moore seems to have a heyday against us, especially when they played us last year and this year. So, but yeah. It's just that I'm kind of saying about with you, man, with the Browns. Just kind of.
Yeah, I feel your pain, man. And it sucks because none of the games have been close either. The closest game you guys had was against the Bengals, and that was 34-24. So y'all are just.
Except the game we won. We're not going to go 0-17.
I mean, okay.
That's what I care about.
Cleveland's the last one to do it. Let's keep that record going for a little while. Cleveland and Detroit are the only 2 teams to ever do it. So.
Well, technically, no one's on 0-17. 0-16.
That's right. That's right.
So
0-16.
There's not going to be Carolina Panthers. Not going to be this. I mean, we may have set a lot of other shitty records before, but damn, that's not going to be one of them.
Yeah. Well, hopefully y'all can figure it out. I don't know. You might surprise yourself. Y'all get some. Maybe you make some big trades at the deadline. Who knows? Maybe you sell.
We'll see.
You're probably going to be sellers, but.
Yeah, I got a sneaky suspicion we'll try to take that higher round draft pick, and then we still owe the Bears our 2nd round draft pick from this upcoming draft from the Bryce Young trade. So yeah. I think we talked enough about that. So moving on to bets. I don't know. I think we're hitting up close to that hour. Like I said, I think this format's pretty good.
Yeah.
With doing this, since we can actually get into talking about recaps, what we thought. I like this. So let us know in the comments what you guys think too. We'll put up bets and then we'll wrap it up. So my money where my mouth was on last week's bet when I said Stephon Diggs was going to go off against the Bills with 100 yards and a touchdown. Didn't hit. Man, hit 6 receptions for 82 yards and 0 touchdowns. He started looking good toward the end of that, and it didn't fucking happen. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going along with your bet on that one too, but you're right. It just that's one of those things, man. Like, kind of involves some of that luck that you don't know where to find it. Where you think, and that's kind of like that. Oh, he's playing his old team because look at DJ Moore played against Carolina, and he's like, let's see, no, he scores 2 touchdowns, but he was close. I mean, 82 yards. That's a decent day for a wide receiver, but
I think his original over-under was 50-something yards. I don't remember specifically. It was like 54. Obviously, it changes every hour you look at it. But
yeah, I mean, I would have taken the over on that 56 or whatever, but 100 and a touchdown. Not impossible for Stephon Diggs. He's done more, but
Mm-hmm.
Texas is a legit team. So yeah.
Yep.
The next one, Ravens Commanders over under 52.5.
Mm-hmm.
And the money line for Washington is plus 230 on DraftKings. Over under 52.5. If I had to
Yep, and
bet,
that's updated right now too.
if I had to bet, I would bet the over at 52 and a half,
That's
100%.
kind of what I'm thinking, especially after the last couple weeks, at least with Commanders, and then Ravens put up
Yeah.
41. I mean, hell, that's
Yeah.
most of that right there. Scored, Commanders get 2 touchdowns. You already beat it right there. Over, if you're gonna end up putting it down, is minus 108 as well. So keep an eye out on that one.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a good bet to get a little bit of money back. So, yeah.
Especially if you lost money on Stephon Diggs bet.
Yeah, if you're listening to Sully.
Yep.
Seahawks and Niners. Let's look at that one. I haven't seen that one yet. Seahawks and where the hell am I at here? I'm losing my mind. There it is. Seahawks and it's a Thursday night game. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Man, the Seahawks money line is plus 142.
Yep. And it's in Seattle, dude.
I like that bet. I like that bet a lot.
That's what I'm saying.
Like that. That's a plus 142. Usually you don't see something that high on a money line. But okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'd say that might be one I put a little bit down. Yeah, $10 on that too would get you a payout of 24.20. So may or may not be something I look at as well. That might be something I put.
I mean, even their spread is at plus 3.5, so I might take that too. At
minus 118.
Yeah, 49ers are 3.5 point favorites. So you give Seattle the ball at home, they're definitely making that 3.5 point spread. I mean, I took Arizona for the plus last week. I don't remember what it was. I think it was plus 4.5, and they ended up winning. So Seattle, or excuse me, the 49ers look like a good team, but they're playing
injuries.
Yeah, and they're scoring a lot of points on offense. Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel. We talked about him earlier. Juwan Jennings. We talked about him a couple weeks ago. They have a solid offense, but their ball control is not there. They're making mistakes all throughout the field. Their defense is slipping up. It's just, they're kind of. It's almost like a balancing act between good and bad, and yeah, that's a good. I would say that's a good bet for the Seahawks to take that. 100%.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're coming up to our hour of time. I know we didn't get as much bet talk as we wanted to in, but
I think we're at close to that hour. So let us know, guys. Let us know in the comments. We changed it up like we said at the beginning of this. We changed it up a little bit. Let us know what you think of the new setup of the flow of stuff. Drop a like, drop a comment, drop a sub. Give us some ideas to talk about. If you guys have any questions, if you guys have any points that you want us to bring up, if you have a player or a team that you want us to dissect and look at their performance, kind of give you some insight on what we think they might do over the next couple of weeks. Except the Browns and the Panthers. We'll just get salty and upset over those teams.
Yeah, salty and upset, and it'll turn into us talking the whole fucking time about it. So
we'll talk about those guys anyways, but we like to be fair and unbiased.
We'll shorten it down a little bit on how much we fucking bitch about those two teams.
I think we're getting our point across that they both suck, and we're both fans, and we're diehards to the end.
I would say we're probably not the only people that feel the same way about both teams. So
those
respective teams. But yeah, man, it's been a pleasure. It's always fun as usual. The last couple of weeks we've done this. We'll get this uploaded pretty much as soon as we did. Zach wasn't feeling too good yesterday. That's why we didn't post this morning. We're people,
post in the
so
morning,
it happens.
Well, we're good today. Podcast next week, Sully. I'm gonna try my best to record while I am in Vegas for the Gay Softball World Series, and see if we can post it up. If not, we might have a bye week next week. I don't know. What do you want to do?
We'll see if I can find some recording software and get an episode in. I can
Maybe you can bring on a guest and talk
Yeah,
to him
maybe I'll
instead or something.
I'll find a guest for the week, or just sit here and just kind of rant to myself. It's not as fun though. If you can't come in, hopefully we can get you in for the week. But
We'll
if not,
see.
we'll figure
We'll do what
something
we
out.
can. Yeah, we'll do what we
Yeah.
can. We usually record on Monday nights. Monday night for me, that's the beginning of the week. It's not going to be as busy, so I might be able to hop in and give you an hour of my time and record some stuff and
Yeah.
watch some
Or yeah,
content.
even if we have to do a, quick 45-minute episode, then we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Which yeah, brings me to my next quick topic. Give me some, everybody give me some good luck for the Gay Softball World Series next year. We're playing for a week in Vegas and playing with the New Orleans Flamingos. So we'll see how that goes. Playing third base, batting fourth in the order. So we'll see.
All right.
See how
Good
that
luck. Good
goes.
luck.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, Sully, that is all I have for this week.
Yeah, man.
Do
That's
you have
it.
any other points, any other jabs from the Browns for me, or
I think
anything
we
else?
beat that dead horse. Same
Yeah,
thing
we
with
sure did.
Carolina,
There's
but
really nothing left there,
yeah,
except cutting to Deshaun Watson. But we'll get over that eventually.
yeah, we'll get to that point soon. Yeah, that's it, man. You have a good rest of your week, and yeah, that's
You
it.
too, man. Thanks all for hanging out. Like I said, like, comment, sub. Catch us every Tuesday. Pigskin Prognosis podcast talking about fantasy football, live scoring, or excuse me, weekly scores and bet stuff. Yeah,
Another whatever other shit you guys want. So
yeah, that's it. So thank you all for coming to hang out. Appreciate it. We will be done talking about thank yous and stuff, and we'll end the podcast. Have you guys a great day. Enjoy the rest of the week, and good luck this weekend in your fantasy footballs. And we'll catch y'all next week, next episode.
bye.